Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Don't Praise the Machine as I rope you in. This is episode number 152. As always, I'm your host. I go by the name Alexander Holland. I'm sat here in a reasonably sunny yet chilly Berlin, Germany on a Friday morning. And as always, I'm sat digitally across from my southern hemisphere dandy down there on a Friday nighttime in Melbourne, Australia. He's got to be the one called
John Maloney.
And John Maloney, I wake up, I have my oat breakfast. You always, when we do the cast, you're always getting ready to hit the town, to spit. You're always getting ready to be stepping out like Joe Jackson's stepping out. There stepping out into the Melbourne light. You have your evening oats, your overnight evening oats.
Overnight evening oats. They've just got a little nip of whiskey in them.
Yeah, you're just
and
holding
some
up
maraschino cherries. my disco oats.
Yeah, exactly. Oats with just maraschino cherries and scotch instead of milk. These are my Friday night disco oats. Johnny, you ready to start off this week's show with a little bit of a feel old? Yeah. I thought I'd really get you in a good mood for Friday with a feel. Oh yeah,
I love that gesture. It's like an oh shucks.
Oh shucks. I've been noticing in the last, maybe even the last few months, there's just a few little things that have come up in podcasts that I've listened to. I think actually it was probably started by this phenomenon that's happened recently, which you may not have heard of because you're not quite as much of a sad YouTubeman as me, but a lot of the old school original YouTubers or YouTubers that have been full-time YouTubers for many years, like retired or semi-retired. This was a thing that was happening and is happening. And so because a lot of original OG YouTubers said, that's it, I'm passing the company off to somebody else, or I don't want to do this anymore. A lot of them were getting interviewed on podcasts, and naturally they were talking about their origin story and getting started on YouTube. And it was the first time that I noticed, at least in myself, that there was this shift between the internet feeling like something that was semi-recent. They were just they were talking about things about a period of time that had started to feel longer than I had ever realized that the internet, and particularly Web 2.0 and stuff, had been around. I always had it in my mind's eye as, the internet, YouTube, that exists like here. And then just hearing these people talk about it, I started to realize that it's slipping further and further back. And it was this very strange feeling because I started thinking about how old would a child be today who was born when that person started their YouTube channel, and it's getting crazy.
That you can even ponder that question. That person could be, well into their adulthood now, I guess.
Well, this is the thing. So I wrote this note down for this morning's cast because I looked up a YouTube video this week. And the little thing down the bottom that tells you about how long ago that video was uploaded said, this YouTube video was uploaded 18 years ago.
Wow.
So you must remember when, we all just got used to that thing of, YouTube video was uploaded 4 years ago. That's so long ago. Oh, YouTube video. Oh, somebody uploaded this 6 years ago. That's so long ago. And YouTube has been around now for 18 years. So that famous first YouTube video of the guy, his name escapes me, one of the guys who started YouTube. He's at the zoo and he makes a dick joke about one of the animals. And that's the first ever video uploaded to YouTube. And that is 18 years old, that video, since it was uploaded. And it's just crazy to think that a child could have been born before a child could now have been born after YouTube. And that person is an adult. There are Australian adults.
That's wild.
Who were born after YouTube started.
I mean, Chocolate Rain, I was just looking that up while you were talking.
Yeah, okay.
That was a big YouTube phenomenon. That's 2007.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
hang on. Yeah. Was uploaded April 23, 2007. So what is that now?
Does it not say there
13.
uploaded this many years ago? Does it just tell you the date? Mine said, I think 18 years ago.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm just looking at it on Wikipedia.
Oh, just look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
It'll say, it'll do the maths for you.
Yeah, that's true. I need that. I need all the help I can get. But, you know, that's getting up there, obviously. And Tay is probably well into his 80s now, I guess. Tay's on day.
Senior citizen
Chocolate
Tay's on day.
Rain. Original, yeah, 16 years ago. There you
Yeah.
go. So,
And I looked up a video that I sent to my dear friend Yarn this week that I couldn't stop seeing, which is a bit of an internet classic. Lose You Tonight by Jan Terry. And that's 18 years ago as well. So that was uploaded the first year of YouTube. Actually, John, I'm just going to send you this because this looks like a Tim and Eric video, but it's a real video. And I will actually just play a bit of this.
I vaguely remember it.
Man, it's so good. It's very catchy. So where's our little chat thing? Here we go. I'm going to send it to you on here. See if you can watch this. So this was uploaded the same year that YouTube started. It's so good, this song.
On WhatsApp?
No, on Squadcast.
Oh, in the chat. My God. So much technology.
Yeah. By the way, can you see yourself when we do this, or do you minimize yourself? Because I've always said, John, don't minimize yourself. You're such a confident, handsome guy. Don't minimize yourself.
I erase myself. I can't find our chat. Oh, God. Everyone or the stage?
The stage. It's just whichever one is there. And I'll play it to the audience as well.
Hello. I'll say on the chat. Plumch, my name is.
Yeah. Everybody, John gives himself dumb names whenever he logs. He gets to choose his name every time he gets to come into the Squadcast. And today he's called him. Actually, you know what? I actually had to tell you to stop doing that because I had to ask for technical.
That's right.
I had to ask for technical help from Squadcast, and I had to write to them and go, "Yeah, my co-host Dick Balls is having some trouble with this stream." And he's like, "Oh yeah, is that the same issue you were having with Fart Pants 69 last week?" Oh yeah, same one.
Now balls with a Z and an S, are they two different people? No, it's the same. Should be the same IP.
And this week you've called yourself Plunch, which is a great name.
Plumch. PLUMPTSCH.
Anybody that's...
I know you're a fan of the kind of collision of many consonants to create a harsh sound.
Also, my dear friends Philip and Magda having a child soon. Congratulations to them. And they'll be looking for names. And so names
Plumch.
like Plumch
There?
are there for the taking. Unique.
That sounds a little bit... they're Polish, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I mean, Plumch. There's Polish names often have a large collision of consonants, I've noticed. So Plumch certainly fits that. But I'll say no more lest I stray into making ignorant cultural observations.
The reason that I also asked if you are seeing yourself in these videos is because as I was editing some of our TikToks this week, I noticed that you were doing some quite odd things with your body, and I was like, he can't see himself on, because I was like, this is a great video. John was saying something really interesting, and you were like this. And so, yeah, and this, putting your hands all leaning back and kind of
that's just how I talk. I'm
an
expressive man.
And you went like this. And I said, he can't see himself.
Pretzeling myself.
Can you see the Jan Terry video that I've sent you so that everybody can...
No, I can't. Can you send it to me on WhatsApp?
This is my life, ladies and gentlemen. What? Computers? Darling, where's the computers?
Can't you just fax it to me?
Where's the computers? Hang on. Are you on YouTube?
Yeah.
Just YouTube search Jan Terry.
Okay,
Lose You Tonight.
Pretty sure back in the day, I vaguely remember you
it's an internet classic. It was uploaded 18 years ago by Jan herself, I think. I think she's still alive.
Okay, I've gone to Jan Terry's actual page. Jan Terry, what's the song called?
Lose You Tonight, I think. Yeah.
Okay. She looks like a character. Wow, it does look very... Oh, could it be Losing You?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember this. I can't believe it's not Tim and Eric. It's just everything about the video quality, the sort of fluttering on the edges of the screen. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's a
the
shitty
VHS artifacts.
Oh, yeah. And then she's getting chauffeured into a limousine. Fantastic.
Isn't it
wow,
great?
she's an icon.
It's a very
Jan Terry.
catchy song.
True original.
I've not been able to stop singing it all week. I just sent it to my mate Jan, also who shares a name with Jan Terry. And I said, I just can't stop singing this. And he was like, man, I love this. I love that. But yeah, so John, so the way that an 18-year-old today would feel when you ask them to consider when YouTube started, they would need in their mind's eye to go back to the year that they were born. So you imagine your own. You and I are both 1982 babies. We have a certain time relationship to the year 1982, and we have a certain sense of what that year must have felt like in terms of fashion and music. And so for us, that was like "Don't You Want Me" by the Human League, and now for an 18-year-old, it's the start of YouTube.
That's crazy. Yeah. I did actually read an article recently about people who were getting out of the influencer business, but some of them had not been around.
Quitters.
Yeah, they were quitters. They were trying to break out of it. And you know, they were kind of in two minds because some of them had taken it up at a pretty young age. They might have obviously foregone other opportunities to have a conventional career or whatever, get qualified in certain respects, you know, get a sort of sensible orthodox CV. Instead, they're like just making weird videos of themselves, kind of reviewing obscure products or playing video games.
I'm great at lip syncing and playing Fortnite. Exactly.
And then they've had to get out of it. And some of them also just had, you know, they kind of, they had, I guess, fame deprivation. You know, they liked the kind of constant validation of getting followed and people being influenced by them. And they were also just hopelessly addicted to social media. So that was a challenge for some of them.
Man, I swear to God, I do not envy an 18-year-old who was born the same year that YouTube already existed.
Yeah. At least my brain has some ability to, at least I can conjure a memory of not being addicted to social media. And then,
I mean, my
brain was kind of formulated before that happened.
An 18-year-old today that you would meet, their brain would just have been melted from cocoa melon from the time they were just a little babby. Right. They would have had cocoa melons dripped into their ears.
Yeah. Imagine hearing Chocolate Rain when you were 2. What sort of weird world you would think this was.
John, what have you got on your neck of the... Well, sorry, I'm getting all of my analogies mixed up. John, what have you got in your neck of the woods? My expressions are all twisted.
I was thinking during the week about something, and it was one of those things where you know, perhaps one of the upsides of the internet is you go, here's a thing that I've been thinking about that I'm not sure anyone else thinks about. And you go on the internet and you find that millions of other people have inquired in the same way as you. And there's a whole cottage industry of articles and suggestions about this topic. But I'll start this way. What do you do, Al, with clothes that are worn, so you've worn them, but they're still clean, you know, they're not ready to be washed again? Where do you put those things?
Yeah, that is a great question. At the moment, my solution is I try, if I remember, to fold them neatly and put them on top of a dresser that I have or because I'm a Eurotrash man now, that means that we always have to take our shoes off when we walk into an apartment. So I have a little shoe rack with a cushion on it that you sit on and take your shoes off when you come into my flat. So I try it as well and put them on the little shoe rack bench, one side of it. But it is always the eternal question.
Yeah, it's the eternal question. And I guess I'd never really thought about it because I had a whole host of other more urgent lifestyle problems and deficits. So that a pile of fairly clean clothes didn't strike me as a serious problem. Because next to it there was just a pile of rotten clothes. But I guess I've kind of gone through various. I mean, I've certainly gone through a lot of share houses and different spaces, and so in those spaces, you kind of instinctively reach a solution. You know, you might have like a hat rack or a coat rack that you just shove stuff on, or a chair next to your bed or whatever, like an armchair that you can put stuff on. But ever since I've been in this house with Jacinta, and we just have a big bed, like the boring couple that we are, and she's got a dresser, and she's got about 10 times as much clothing as I do, so she gets the whole dresser, and I've just got something in the other room. So there's not really a space in our bedroom for me to hang stuff. So I had just been kind of not dealing with it. And then I walked into my room the other day and I thought, this isn't going to fly. I've got like a pile as high as the bed of just random clothes. So I went online and I thought, well, I'll just Google what people do. And there was a huge number of articles and discussions, firstly on Quora and Reddit, places like that. But then I looked at, I found articles on Stack Exchange, on House Digest, on HuffPost, on kind of apartment-based or living-based websites like realsimple.com, apartmenttherapy.com, 9honey, Lifehacker, Home Storage Solutions 101, and Clean Bee. And they all had different solutions to this apparent problem. And I thought, what a weird thing that it's a kind of like, is it like a figment of modernity that we just are doing things in such a way that we don't have a solution to this particular problem? You know, what do people who live in different cultures, in different circumstances do? Do they naturally have something that they do in this case? And I mean, what I ended up doing, which wasn't very interesting, but was developing a kind of just getting a chair, basically putting it in a little nook of the room, and then that became my kind of de facto semi-clean clothes rack. But that was just one of many solutions that was offered. There was, some people say you could have a specific laundry basket that you put the clothes in. Some people say you could use like a towel rack, or I think it's called like a towel ladder. Over the door hooks, you could repurpose like a valet stand of the kind that used to be just for suits. And I thought, I reckon there's a gap in the market here, and I need to get a patent for a specific piece of furniture that I can market as a solution to this non-problem. And you know, maybe I could go on Dragon's Den or whatever it's called.
Totally.
And go, and I came up with two names for it. One is an entrée placard, which I think is French for just a between cupboard, but I think making it French makes it sound a bit classy, and people would be more inclined to buy an entrée placard than a between cupboard. But it could just be like quite a simple, artfully made kind of second miniaturized chest of drawers that you put your semi-clean clothes in. The other name for it is the Purgatorium, because I thought that's kind of a space for things that are neither clean nor dirty. And so I'd be interested in what our watchers and listeners think about those two suggestions, and how likely you would be if you were going through IKEA or through any other furniture store and you saw this device and it marketed itself as a solution to this problem. Would there be room in people's lives and budgets for a new piece of furniture they never thought they needed? And I think There would be, because people like, being told that it's okay to buy this because you've convinced yourself that you need it, but actually you just want to buy a bit more furniture. And, they can see it as a kind of Kondo-esque, Marie Kondo-esque solution to having a messy pile of clothes on the floor. And I don't know, maybe you could make it quite elaborate, like have some like a coat rack element to it and a chest of drawers element to it. And I could start a little one-man industry making bespoke entree placards or purgatoriums for rich dickheads in Melbourne.
It would definitely be the Scandinavians, I think, who would be on board with something like this, because in my experience, it tends to be the Scandinavians that have come up with solutions to these little kinds of things where you'll visit. So I have a relative, Michael, who is from Port Lincoln, which we've mentioned on the podcast before, the beautiful South Australian country town of Port Lincoln. But he's been living in Norway with his Norwegian wife, Agnes, for 20 years. And so I visited them a bunch of times, and there are often just these little touches where you go, oh, we didn't come up with a solution to that problem. Yeah, I think this is right. I think it's them that have a kind of like dishwasher drying rack combination solution. I think this is right, but I've seen these kinds of dishwashers where rather than having to, you wash the dishes, and then rather than having to take the dishes out of the dishwasher and put them into a cupboard, like the dishwasher and the cupboard are kind of the same thing. So you never need to take them. You just directly take them out, and they're ready to serve as plates. So little things like that. So I could see that if you took this to IKEA, your entree placard, and said,
exactly,
let's get this going.
Yeah, and they said we need to call it a snoof doubler, and I'll say no deal. It's a purgatorium, or it's nothing. Yeah, I think I was thinking about this more because one of the pleasures of being self-employed is that you can write off things as tax expenses.
Yeah.
We're getting into really, really high octane pod content now. And so sometimes I'll buy things that are a little bit kind of fancy and wanky because I think, I can just, I can just get that back on tax, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And a recent example are these Blackwing 602 pencils that I've been using. I'll show you one here. Oh, they're quite handsome looking.
Wow, that's a beauty.
Little metal eraser thing here. And, it's a classic sort of item where various famous wankers of history have used it, and then it went out of business because they were getting too expensive to make, and then people were sort of, collectors were selling the ones that had remained on the market, and then Blackwing decided to, or some company decided to bring them back, and they've become like a cult item. And I saw them at a shop in New York, and then I bought a bunch, and then I thought, well, I'll buy. They were quite expensive, but they're very nice to use. And then I thought, well, I'll buy a special pencil sharpener, which is also Blackwing brand, and it's got it's just totally over-engineered wank. It's got two holes, and you can you sharpen the wooden aspect of the pencil, the exterior of the cylinder, and then you use the other hole to sharpen the graphite core. And I just like that it's unnecessarily elaborate. And then you can also buy these little metal kind of nubbies that go over the end of the pencil. And they're saying, because you're going from A to B and your pencil might break. So you put this little, $50 metal nub on it. And I'm just like, come on, just put it in some part of your bag where it's not going to break, or put it in a pencil case. Like, we're getting silly now. Next you're going to tell me, oh, you've bought the metal nubs, but you need a carrier case for your metal nubs now. And then you need this combination lock because somebody might try and steal your nubs out of your case.
A wooden box for your for your nub sack, for your metal nub.
Right.
For your silken nub sack.
It's just the kind of wanky artisanal equivalent of the old lady who swallowed a fly. There's just no end to the things that you need to carry other things.
The nesting doll of wank, the infinite nesting dolls of wank.
It's the nesting doll of wank. That's exactly it.
Are you in the mood for a Dutchie's hot tip, John? If I bring back an absolute classic, and your beautiful brother Tom wrote to me in the week, and he said, I missed the Dutchie's hot tip sting. So I'm going to throw that in right here.
I'm lost. What can I do? I need help.
Does anyone have any tips? Please, I need advice. What am I going to do?
Dutchie's hot tips.
Oh, Dutchie, what would we do without you?
I have missed that sting.
John, I got a Dutchie's hot tip that I think everybody out there is going to be able to take and implement in their lives this week straight away. And that's what I like to do with Dutchie's hot tips is people need help out there in their lives. And I like to give tips that they can think to themselves, that does happen to me. I'm going to tuck that away. I'm going to tuck that away in the back of my mind, and I'll be able to implement that next time that situation happens to me. Now, this particular situation, John, this is very helpful. If people are being disrespectful to you by constantly interrupting, well, don't worry, because I'm going to give you the most powerful tip to turn the tables on the other person that's interrupting you, and you'll be able to make sure that they never interrupt you ever again. Now, I came up with this technique some years ago, and I was reminded of it this week because I was watching an Instagram video from Kiwi comedian Thomas Sainsbury, who I think you will have seen. He's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I love his work.
Everything is just killer. If you are not following Thomas Sainsbury, particularly if you grew up in Australia or New Zealand in the 80s and 90s, it's all so recognizable, kind of, 2.5 kids, nuclear family, growing up in the 80s and 90s in Australia. It's mums, it's kids, it's dinners. It's so great. But he posted
expressions that people overused, or ways of parenting that now seem really bizarre.
Or ways of dieting that seemed really bizarre.
Yeah,
the old,
right.
Talks about people eating grapefruit and then all these other kind of things that nobody does anymore. But he posted a video this week, and it was titled "The Devastating News Text," and boy, did it trigger me so hard, because he demonstrates in the video a instantly recognizable social situation. And it is, of course, like all of our favorite irritating social situations, its prevalence has been created by the rise of the cursed rectangle, aka the smartphone. And the reason that it upsets me is because, of course, it breaks all of my precious personal rules. I got a bunch of them. I got a deep sickness that my therapist tells me about. And if you break my personal rules, then I get very, very upset. So as per Dutchie's hot tip, I'm going to explain it to you, and then I'm going to explain how you can respond appropriately. And it's going to serve as a valuable lesson to the person who has stepped against you. So the situation goes like this. You are in the company of another person or people. You are typically not having a direct conversation with them. So think, for example, of a situation where you might be in a car together, or you might be sitting on a couch together watching TV, or you could even be eating a meal together. You're in each other's company, but you're not directly talking to one another. And one of the people in the group is distracted, or they're just browsing on their phone. You've had a big day. You come back from the beach, and you're just like, let's have a bit of phone time. You're reading a book. They got their phone out. And it's just peaceful. Or the other situation is that you could be having a conversation with somebody else, and they're off checking their phone just to the left of you or something.
Got it.
Like that. Person's checking their phone. Suddenly, the person on their phone gasps or says, "Oh no," or they could even laugh hysterically. So essentially what they're communicating to you is, I've received some kind of news or information of value on my mobile phone, and I'm reacting to it in such a way that your attention has been taken from what you're doing, and now you need to give your attention to me. Okay, so far, there's not really a problem here because what the person should do is go, oh, sorry about that, guys. I've interrupted you. The reason I'm laughing is, and then they tell you. But of course, the person doesn't tell you why they've reacted to their phone like that. Rather, they've stolen your attention and now you turn to them and say, oh, is everything okay? You've just gasped at your phone screen. And they just ignore you, continue staring at their phone screen and continue to react in the same way. For example, going, oh my God, I can't believe... No.
Almost as if they're enjoying the information gap that they've created.
Exactly. And almost as if they're enjoying the fact that they have now demanded your attention. You've given it to them and now they are having you stand there like an idiot while they dangle the important information carrot over your head and make you jump and beg for it like a fucking moron. Now, is that a situation
that's just the kind of thing you hate?
Is this a situation that you recognise, John?
It is, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can't recall a recent instance, but it's definitely happened to me, and I hope I've never done it to anyone. But it's possible. I think it's more likely it's been done to me, though.
I would say it's more likely that it's been done to you. You're typically a socially respectful... I mean, God, John, you couldn't be friends with me for 30 years if you were triggering me. I mean, I would let you know about it fucking straight away. But
I'm just in... No, I hope I'm not... Yeah, I won't say what I think you might do because I might step
I can't wait till the end.
Yeah,
I'll be interested to know if what I do is what you thought that I would do. So this started happening to me so much. I guess ever since it's really funny because this would have been a thing that would have happened about once every 20 years when letters were the technology through which people communicated. You would open a letter once every 20 years and gasp. And because of that, there would be no reason for the person to have come up with this observation in the way that I have. But then as soon as smartphones became a thing, as soon as texting became a thing,
it's true. Yeah.
Even back in the Nokia days, people would have started getting texts and going, oh, I can't believe, oh, no way, I can't believe it.
You won't believe this.
You won't believe this.
True.
I'm not going to tell you.
Before that, it would be, your Uncle Bertie died in the Boer War or something.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't happen very often.
So it started happening to me so much. And then, of course, as soon as smartphones came with so much media, with pictures and videos, it just was happening all the fucking time to me. And so I had to come up with a technique to let people know that this is not what you do. And of course, the problem is that when people are doing this, it makes you feel small and it makes you feel disrespected. So what are you going to do? You've got to think, how can I make this person who's doing the wrong thing feel small? They shouldn't be making me feel small. They've done the wrong thing. They should feel small. So here we go. So this is what you do.
Yeah.
So this is very much in the spirit of the kind of derail, re-rail that we've spoken about before, where if you interrupt a person in a conversation so that you can add your bit, if you've demanded their attention, it's your duty to apologize and remind the person what they were talking about and yield the floor back to them in the conversation, as we said a couple of weeks ago. Sorry, I interrupted you there, Darren. You were talking about your recent experience at the Greyhound track. And then back. That's perfect.
That's right.
Perfect. So here's what you do. Next time somebody's on their phone and they do this in your presence, they start reacting to their phone, capturing your attention and not telling you what the thing is. Ignore them. 100%. This was your guess?
Yeah.
So
just like deadpanning them.
So for example, if you're reading a book on the couch and it's all quiet and they go, oh, what? Or they go, oh my God, God, no way, no way. Literally act as if they have said nothing. Continue reading the book, and at no point, and they will often start doing the thing more pronounced, more loud. They don't have the balls to just say, "Excuse me,
Right
I want
in
to
your
tell you
face.
something." They'll sort of go, "Oh no, can you see that? Oh, there's something happening on my phone." Absolutely, 100%. Do not react until they say to you, "Oh, excuse me, something's happened on my phone and I want to tell you about it now."
Yeah.
And if you are, if somebody does it in a 3-person situation, so you're talking, like I'm talking to you and Greg is to the right and he's kind of in the conversation with us, but he just for a sec, I mean, this is really when you need to teach Greg how to behave. You and me are having a conversation. Greg's kind of in the conversation, but then he's decided to glance at his phone. I mean, fuck me. If I'm having a conversation with you and somebody to the right of me who's kind of in the conversation, first of all checks their phone and then goes, no way. Then, oh my God, is what I'll probably do at that point is step in front of Greg. So you and me are just, so my back is now to him. And I'll just continue talking to you as if Greg is literally invisible.
Yeah.
I might even raise my voice slightly, and I'll just continue talking to you as if Greg
If there's a
doesn't.
door, you just close the door on Greg gently.
So what do you think
Put
of
a
that?
pillow over his face.
So you'd guess, John, that ignoring and
As soon as you started, because I know you. As soon as you started describing this situation, I was imagining you just delighting in not giving a skerrick of interest as someone was going, oh my God. And you're just going,
completely deadpan, or just continuing to talk to the person as if they're literally invisible and I can't hear a single thing that they have said. And
yeah, it's kind of it's got some similarities with your dislike of people who excessively try and solicit high fives. Because
Exactly.
It's like, I'm doing a thing here and you're kind of placing a weird demand on me and you're not really taking responsibility for doing that or something, or you're doing it kind of without really giving me a reason to comply. You don't like compliance with social demands that are ill-founded.
I think
no, I totally understand. In fact, as you were describing this in more detail, I reckon I've probably done that even without kind of coming up with a conscious strategy. I've just privately delighted in pretending that I didn't hear somebody's reaction to whatever they was going on their phone and just wait for them to go, to tell me whatever. And it's rarely going to be that, that momentous. I mean, I think in the Sainsbury example, it's just some bullshit thing. And then that's kind of totally sidelined the conversation.
And I should also point out, sorry to interrupt. I should also point out it's never important news. So I don't want anybody thinking like that somebody's got some actual thing on their phone that's like really important. It never is. It's always something that did not, or even if it is something that's kind of small. Like obviously, if somebody's got some kind of incredibly tragic news, I don't expect them.
But then they tell you.
But then they would tell you, and it never is. It's always some fucking bullshit, and you have to
like if it was like. Everyone we know has been killed in a plane crash. You wouldn't sit there and go and kind of like look gasping at your phone, just kind of waiting to enjoy the social capital of keeping this other person, in the dark. You just tell them. But it's always just, some minor bit of gossip or some rubbish news that they've read or whatever.
Do you deal a lot with serial interrupters, John? Is that something that's come up recently? So for me, it tends not to be my closest friends that do this. As you can imagine, I will not be giving a lot of social time to people that are serial interrupters. But typically what will happen, and we've all been in these situations. You have a friend who you love dearly.
Yeah.
But there's always, everybody's always got one or two friends that those friends of yours have friends that you're just like, oh man, fucking Barry has the worst fucking friends. Why does he bring these fucking weirdos to the pub? I love Barry, but he's like got the worst choice in friends. And so a few times recently, I've been in situations where Barry's brought somebody who's like a serial interrupter to the pub.
God, that's annoying.
And what serial interrupters will also do that you'll recognize is they will often try and pretend like something that you've been talking about. For example, I might be talking about how, I go jogging on Sundays with my running group, and there'll just be something that they'll pick some thread that has nothing to do with running and pretend that it does.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh yeah, that's just like, did you guys see on the news that like Trump and Biden were like talking about something, and I think it had something to do with running, and now I want to talk about Trump and Biden, and you're just like, wait, these aren't related. What the fuck? Why you don't get to wrestle the conversation from? That's got nothing to do with what I was talking about.
Yeah, I get quite upset with interrupters, and also with people who do this thing, which I try not to do, even though sometimes it actually requires a bit of effort. But if you're listening to someone talk and they do make you think, oh yeah, this thing is a really good thing to say in response to that, or you've made me think of some story, or I've got something I want to say about that. But you can see sometimes, rather than, what the effort that you then need to make is to go, well, I need to continue to listen, because the conversation might go elsewhere, or that might not be the point this person's making, and also they're just talking, so I should be attentive. Some people, they get this look on their face, and they've just thought of what they're going to say, and they don't fucking care about the rest of what you're saying. Yeah, that's right. And I just
start gasping.
Yeah, and my temptation is always to go like, yeah, exactly. They're just holding it in, and then the second you finish, they don't let your story land for an instant. They just go, yeah, blah, 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 and do their bit. And so I kind of sometimes have this urge. I'm not sure if I've acted on it, except with people that, I'm rudest to people that I love who are close to me, so I've probably done it to Jacinta. Sorry, Jacinta. But, I get this urge to just go, no, you go. Yeah, just you're obviously not, interested. So
that's bold.
What have you got to say now?
I like that.
Yeah. Or just stop mid-sentence and then see if they just jump in and don't even acknowledge the fact that you've curiously not finished your story because they're not even listening.
The other I'm very familiar with that situation as well, John, and I have another technique that I love, which really upsets them in a way that they can't. Again, they can't actually say, "Oh no!" What you do is, as soon as you realize that they are desperate to jump in and say something that's slightly related to what you're talking, so they start doing that. They're just waiting for that second. What you do is basically, in a very unnatural way, you switch topics and just bulldoze into the new topic. So you might have been saying something about how you'd had a lunch with somebody recently at the pub, and you say something, and their eyes light up like, "Oh, I've got something to say about lunch at the pub," and then without even saying something like, "Oh, and now I'm going to switch topics to something else," you just be talking. You'd be like, and we're having a lunch at the pub, and I swear it was one of the nicest lunches that we'd had at the pub in ages. On the news the other night, I was watching this story about, and then just the story in the news has nothing to do with the pub. And then you just quickly get, and you can see them go, "Oh, yeah," and you just keep getting further and further away until you're just way off. And for them to come back and go, if we could just loop back to the,
you're piling on the social weight for them to kind of unnaturally then go, what about that thing we were discussing 10 minutes ago before we, for some reason, started talking about Gaza? I just wanted to talk about the pub.
But yeah, I would say if you are around serial interrupters, this is just another general tip. I had a I was dating somebody years ago, and they would constantly bring someone out who was like a serial interrupter in a way that was like crazy. It was crazy how much they would interrupt. And I just got used to just slightly raising my voice and continuing talking as if they weren't saying anything, even though the person that I'm with was looking at me going, can't you see they're trying to interrupt? And I'm just keep talking like I can't hear them. And then you and them are talking at the same volume, and they try a few times because they think, oh, maybe Alex hasn't heard, because they don't know that they do that. Maybe Alex hasn't, or they think they can interrupt. Maybe Alex hasn't heard that I'm trying to interrupt, so I'll try again. And I just keep talking louder. And then eventually they just go, and they shrink right down. They end up being about the size of a fly. And you become the winner that everybody knows is not to be fucked with.
Yeah. That's right. That's always the goal, isn't it? Not reciprocating a high five. Not responding to the guy who says something like clapping or says good call at the end of your story. Yeah.
Good call. Oh, what a call. What a comment. What a comment. That was always my favourite, is when you'd say...
Call of the night.
Oh, call of the night. You, mate, I'm going to award... Because I am the judge, I'm awarding you call of the night. That is call of the night.
Call of the night. And you go, I don't need your fucking approval. I know that was a good story. That's why I told it.
John, we got a few more minutes left here. Do you have anything that you want everybody in the Don't Praise the Machine universe? I was going to say don't praise the Machiniverse, which I quite like.
Machiniverse. Yeah, I've been, for those of you who haven't yet signed up, you're obviously at this point making a deliberate decision not to, but I'm just going to press you to go to dptm.org and sign up to the newsletter. Because one of the things that I do every week is try and come up with an exciting new way to refer to individual listeners. So I've gone with machinists, I think. I've gone with DPTMers.
Lady Gaga's Little Monsters. Did you know that's what Lady Gaga calls her fans?
Oh, Little Monsters. Yeah, okay. The DPTM Juggalos.
At the Dark Circus.
Yeah, that's right. And so what have I done? DPTMers, don't praises, machinists. And then I think this week, because I was running out of ideas, I just said DP the Emmers instead of DPTMers. But yeah, sign up and you'll enjoy that and many other features of my little weekly deep dives into some of the show's content. I'm getting excited about where that might be heading over the course of the year. And
DPTM.org.
Yeah, that's right. So jump on there. The other tale that I have to tell is a little bit of a longer form piece, but you can look forward to that next week.
Okay,
I'm going to do a deep dive, which will take us into the weird, wild world of mascots and Super Bowl advertising.
Yeah, this is good. We should. This is another
little teasers.
Yeah, little teasers. This is great, John. Good storytelling techniques. Little coming up next week's.
Yeah, coming up next week's.
A lot of
podcasts do that, don't they? We'd never really, because I often don't know what's coming up next week. But you don't have to follow through. It's a week later. Nobody remembers. So we should just make stuff up.
I got a recommendation. A couple of new fans of the show who are on my running club, they mentioned, because they're both Sam Harris fans as well, and so they mentioned something that might be helpful to them is the expect to hear at the start of every podcast episode. In this conversation we talked about, just so that just so people know if it's an episode. So, for example, what would we have said this week? I might have in my best Sam Harris voice, welcome to the Don't Praise the Machine podcast. This week, my guest is John Maloney.
Okay.
We discuss... And then...
America's standing in the 21st century.
Yeah, but what would I...
impending population collapse, except we'd say... We discussed passive-aggressive tools to use against serial interrupters.
Yeah, I could just get the impression that instantly people would get the sense if it's just going to be because Dutchie's hot tips are mostly just social bugbears that I have when people are trying to wrestle dominance from me. Because I always feel like in conversations I'm quite respectful of other people, and so when I feel like people aren't being respectful, then it just
that's it.
triggers me.
Exactly.
Because I'm not trying to dominate anyone in a conversation. I just want to make a best friend with you.
Yeah. And what to do with your not quite dirty clothes.
That's right. That's what he would have said.
I wonder what Sam does.
Yeah,
Probably
I can imagine.
Scott.
I bet he's got like serial killer neatness, Sam Harris.
Yeah, that's very true. He's probably got a prop coat rack from the original season of Golden Girls that his mum gave him.
He just says, I have Blanche Dubois' wardrobe that I place all of my semi-soiled clothes in.
That's right.
He'll never do if we gain so much we gain so much prominence, John, that we're on the radar of Sam Harris, even though he probably gets a sense that we're both quite big fans. He'll also know that we talk about the fact that his mum is the creator of Golden Girls way more than his other fans ever do. And he notoriously has virtually never, as far as I'm aware, just never addressed the fact that his mum...
Has anyone ever commented on that? Like,
yeah, in the Reddit threads, all of the Reddit AMAs are hilarious because he does these Reddit Ask Me Anythings, and there's always people in there that have all questions about spirituality because that's why he's gone on a lot of the time, and people are asking various questions about how they can improve their meditation practice or where they can go on silent retreats, and people always start piling in and going, "What's your favorite Golden Girls episode?" And he just ignores them.
What's Betty White like in real life?
But also, everybody, if you're not on TikTok, this probably doesn't apply to you. But we're getting an unusual amount of attention on TikTok. It's a lot of TikTok heat, courtesy of Xi. We want to thank President Xi once again for flicking the switch down there at TikTok HQ. It's given us that boost.
Yeah,
because we did spoke a few weeks ago about Australian fashion icon / surgeon / entrepreneur Ken Sakata, and I made a little TikTok video probably about a month ago. I posted that originally, and it did get some original heat a little bit.
Yeah,
probably got up to around. I think it got up to it was like 20,000 views and maybe 800 likes and a handful of shares up until like 24 hours ago, and then it's suddenly like doubled in statistics over
so weird
24 hours. So it went from I think at the moment it's at something like 1,300 likes or something. It just has got hundreds and hundreds of likes. I went to bed and I woke up and opened my phone and the little red notification thing was in the hundreds. It was like hundreds of likes, like an extra 5 comments, and then all of these people had saved it. So I think they decided, my guess is that the algorithm decided that Australians needed that Friday morning boost to get them into the weekend because it's such a feel-good story. It is a great story. So being pumped full of trash news.
I congratulate you publicly on putting together such a well-crafted little slick reel that's got humor, it's got curiosity gaps, it's got hooks, it's got all the ingredients that you need.
Thank you, John.
I'm not sure how many Chinese yuan we get per like, but perhaps we can talk about that get down to brass tacks after the podcast, because I assume there's an account somewhere that's filling up, and G is going to present us with one of those novelty giant checks.
Cannot wait. So yeah, check us. I shouldn't do too many calls to action per episode. That's bad marketing advice. You don't tell everybody like sign up to the YouTube channel, sign up to follow us on TikTok. Yeah, sign up to the newsletter. We should pick one. Sign up to the newsletter, everybody, right now. And I also just want you to know, if you don't open the emails, we know. It shows.
Yeah.
It goes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to break your heart, John, but Jacinta has not opened a single one. All of John's family, I've checked, and it says like Daniel Maloney, all unopened. Tom Maloney, all unopened. Jacinta, all unopened.
And then I go to dinner with them and they're just nodding. Yeah, the podcast is great, buddy.
Go to dptm.org now. Pop your little email address in there. We've got a beautiful little landing page. Thank you, ConvertKit. We have so many platforms that we absolutely love over here. We love Squadcast. We want to thank ConvertKit.
Yeah, OnlyFans.
We want to thank OnlyFans. And that's been episode 152. John's going to go off to beautiful Dinoir on Friday night.
It's actually, I joked the other day about my father having a 2-day rager party for his 74th, but this is actually the second party that he's having for his 74th. So I went round there on the weekend just for a special home cooked meal, and now he's invited us and Jacinta's parents and I think some others to an Italian restaurant. So he's really laying it on pretty thick this year, and I said to him, don't think this means you're getting 2 presents. And and I want to say thank you to the makers of Air Fryer, because that was his present this year. We got him,
is that right?
And Dan chipped in and got him a air fryer. So now he can experiment with all the culinary wonders of that device.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been Don't Press Machine. I've been Alexander Holland. I'm always here with my co-host, John Maloney. We're every single Tuesday morning. Thank you so much, everybody. And we can't wait to see you next week.
Hey, the podcast.